your Dredd voice, could you say, I am the law, for all of us to hear? I am the law. And there's this one too. Judgment time. My question is also for Mr. Urban. I was just wondering, because you've done Red, and that was also really, really good, and now you're doing Judge Dredd. Is there any other kind of comic book property you would want to take on? Or like a wish list or anything?
Only if I can find something that rhymes with Red and Dredd. No, you know, I'm good. I'm pretty...
Although technically your character is appearing in our Star Trek comics too, so you do have a third comic book property.
Story.
I have a question for both of you too, if I could. It's probably more for Olivia, but you know, because I imagine Anderson's probably newer to you than Dredd. You know, you said you've been familiar with Dredd for a long time. How much of the existing, you know, there's 35 years of material, how much of that do you read and try and inform your decision of the character versus what's written in the screenplay? You know, the screenplay has a specific take on that character, and you can kind of get lost in all the history and all the ticks and everything out of the comics. Like, how much of that do you pay attention to and sort of disregard when you're developing your take on the character?
Well, I felt like I had to do a lot of, you know, at least familiarize myself with Anderson in the comics, because she has a pre-existing life, and I wanted to make sure that I could do justice to it, and certainly not do anything that would stray from, you know, being an Anderson that goes with the idea that people already have of her. But I was happy to find that she does change a bit depending on which one you're reading and depending on the story, and I kind of let that allow me to make my own decisions in terms of the script. So I felt like, you know, if I was playing an Anderson who was kind of tortured and sad, that would be true to the comics. If I was playing an Anderson that was sassy, that would also be true to the comic, depending on which, you know, what one you're reading. So it allowed me to make my own decisions based on the circumstances in the script. And the arc that she goes through in the film, which is a significant one, and I had the liberty of never really feeling like I was going to do something that was wildly un-Andersonian. I just coined that word.
For me, part of the process of approaching any character is the investigative process part, and what I did on this film was compile a journal. I got the script, stuck it in this journal, and then I went through all the Judge Dredd comic books that I had, and whenever I would find a piece that inspired me, or something that I wanted to, that I thought we should do in the film, or even just like tonally something that was, I think, relevant to what we were doing, I would photocopy it and stick it in. And quite a few that, like, subtly, quite a few bits of dialogue and even some of the shots would go to DP and say, this is what, you know, I feel this is totally where we should, the zone that we should be in. You know, I mean, there's this one of them was, that I thought was very apt for this film, was Dredd standing over the body of a splattered body on the ground, and just the guy just jumped, and there's this just really sort of dry Dredd comment, "Adios, cruel world." I just fucking love that. I couldn't find any way to put it in this film. But tonally, there are other things in that, you know, Dredd's sort of sardonic comment about what's going on was so important, and I was constantly looking for opportunities to inject that into the story. Everybody asks that. Yeah. No, I didn't. But I mean, obviously, what I did do is, you know, as we started getting into the filming process, I would do a take or two, and then, you know, go and watch it to see what was coming out. Because it was important to me that he was recognisably Dredd. But then what I found is that, you know, it's at its best when Dredd's actually in the moment and reacting to something that, you know, is intense and visceral, and it's grounded in a feeling. You know, one of the things that I felt was very important about differentiating the difference between my Dredd and any other Dredd that's come before was that I didn't want the character to be a posturing character. I didn't want him to be based in ego. Those to me were wrong choices. I wanted this guy to be full of that anger, full of that rage, but be struggling to contain it. To me, that's always much more interesting. And so, you know, and also the challenge, I guess, was how to convey as much as I could, given sort of the limitations of what was available to me. Because, you know, the Dredd in the story, yes, he has this inner violence and this inner rage, but he's also a protector, and, you know, he has this wonderful, you know, sardonic humour. He has got a compassion and a little bit of humanity there that does seep out. And there's also I wanted to inject a little bit of weariness in the character. You can just sort of sense that, you know, this day at the office it's just this life that he's living is taking its toll. So yeah.
Wow, I remember hearing Stallone talk about the character in '95, and he just totally got it wrong.
He did?
Yeah. But my question was for 2008. Are there plans to take the complete case files past 19? Are there plans to take the complete case files past 19 onward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we'll keep going. I mean, we're up to number 19. I think that takes us to 94, 95. So you know, we haven't even got the first 20 years, and you know, there's almost 20 years since then. So you know, they'll keep going. I mean, what's amazing about that is if you have a series of books to get up to number 19, normally, you know, the sales pattern is this. It just starts tailing off as people kind of like, oh, you know, I've got the first 10. But no, these books just keep on selling and growing every time. Every time we do a new one, we get more of that than we did on the last one, the first time out. So.
Well, now you're into territory where it was really hard to get them in the U.S. So
well, we started
really looking forward.
Yeah, we did the first 5. Number 5 just came out in the spring here, so we'll keep going with that. You know, as long as you guys keep buying it, we'll keep going.
I've been buying the UK editions, but like 18, 19, this was around the time where Fleetway stopped making the US versions. And, you know, these are stories that those of us who have been reading in the US since, you know, the early 90s, these are new stories to us, but we've not been able to get them.
Well, fantastic. You got some amazing stuff to get.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in our case too, we'll be supplementing their efforts with, you know, we're doing deluxe versions of Brian Boland's work and Carlos' work. So I think we'll all make sure that there's plenty of Dredd product out there for everyone to see.
Douglas never said who he is. I read his blog all the time. It's one of my favorites.
I'm the independent moderator. I'm not affiliated with anybody else. Yes.
Yes, I know this is a Dredd panel and everything, but Mr. Urban, I thank you for making Doom, like, you're the only good part of Doom, and I thank you very much for it. Thanks.
This question is for the whole panel. Obviously, we had the first Dredd screening on Wednesday evening, and some of the reviews have been coming in, and it's been getting 8s, 9s, 10s out of 10. How do you feel the film has been received, and how do you think this is going to help Dredd as a character within the comic books and to spread the word about what 2008 does?
Well, yeah, I mean, so far the reviews have been amazing. We're absolutely thrilled, to be honest. I mean, there's only a few guys who were at the screening, but it was really good. How will it affect the comic? I mean, I just hope that it just means that more people will pick up the comic. You know, and 2000 AD has been going for so long, and it's still going super strong, and is an amazing place for new comic talent to come out. And you know, there's always chances that 2000 AD takes with new stories, new creators, as well as the established ones that still are going strong too. It's not an exact answer, but in general, I hope it's good.
I'd also say, you know, a lot of people buy comics, but a lot more people saw the movie in '95, and I think we've all been wanting a good version to be out there to sort of wipe that out of everybody's heads. So I think a good positive Dredd movie now is only going to make people more positive about checking out the comics too. So I think it's just going to help everybody across the board.
I mean, it was such a pleasure for me to be at that screening the other night, because I mean, I'd seen the film in various different cuts through last year, and when I arrived before coming here to London Comic Con, and I touched back down in LA before I hit London, and Lionsgate had organised a screening for me, and I said, no, I want to see this movie for the first time with an audience, and I was so glad I did. It really, I just feel so kind of proud of it, and the fact that the audience totally got it on every level was, it exceeded my wildest expectations. And you know, in terms of where it goes from here, if this film is a one-off cult classic, then I'm happy with that, because it's really brilliant, and it's faithful to what these guys and Wagner and what everybody created. But if we're blessed, if we get to make more, then I mean, really, the sky's the limit in terms of Dredd and Dredd comics, and you know, it's all going in the right direction.
I think for us, one of the great things about the movie is that it gets Dredd right. Tonally, there's no disconnect. The great thing for the comics, for increasing numbers of readers you get out there, is that, you know, you can go and see the movie, see Karl's Dredd, and then you can pick up a comic, and that's the character. You know, there's no like, this isn't the same thing as I saw in the previous film. You get it, and you know, that's going to be a great hit, because people sometimes say, oh, it's been on for 35 years, there's too much stuff, where do I start? The great thing about a weekly comic is that you can always drop in. That was the whole plan of 2008. You just come in on the next issue and keep on going from there. And that's the great thing about books as well, as, you know, first and all that. But for us, it was really satisfying that the character of Dredd in the movie is Dredd.
That's actually a really good point, that, you know, sometimes you see kind of superhero movies like Iron Man or something like that, and then you go, you know, maybe someone off the street who might be interested in grabbing a comic, and it's like a different Iron Man in the comic, or there's a different, you know, they've got a different alter ego or whatever it is, you know, that's not the case with Dredd. You know, what's on the screen is the character that you'll read in the comic, for sure.
I think we have time for one more awesome question.
Russia.
We know that Karl is used to physical roles, you know, looking back at his short and sweet days, but I just wanted to know, how did Olivia get all physical with little Anderson? It doesn't seem a role that you've done previously before.
No, I had never handled weapons. Karl was like an old pro. He didn't need any training. But it was great fun, and I owe so much credit to the team that we were working with in South Africa. They were talented and professional and amazing, and I think I really got into it. I mean, it's so much fun, and I think especially as a woman, especially as a small person, to you know, learn how to throw a really good right hook, or learn how to change your magazine without looking. You know, not to mention learning how to roundhouse kick. That was like
that's the one.
That was like the hardest thing.
That's my favourite class in the movie, your roundhouse kick.
Can I just have a little moment? That roundhouse kick with me. I broke down the script as a comic for the guys, and that roundhouse kick was. Sorry, that was my little moment.
I owe it all to the creators and the people that wrote the part. They just wrote all this cool stuff for me to do, and I was lucky enough to, you know, get the opportunity to do it. And it's great fun to learn how to run around and fire guns and stuff.